If you need help with practicing your writing skills, check out these workbooks that can be useful in improving your academic writing skills. The link is in the description below. Conditionals are often used in academic writing. Knowing how to write them in English will help you to use them correctly. Each type of conditional has a different structure. Let's take a look at how to use conditionals in your writing. A conditional means if something, then. For example, if it is cold tomorrow, then it might snow. Or, if I see her, then I will tell her. We write conditional sentences often. The basic pattern for this kind of sentence is this: the if clause followed by the main clause. Now, a clause is a group of words that makes a sentence. The if clause section of this sentence is the conditional part, and the main clause is the result. Let's look at an example. If it is cold tomorrow, then it might snow. Here, the if clause is the conditional, and the result is the main clause. Then it might snow. We can also write these sentences in this pattern. We start with the main clause and add the if clause at the end. Now, in this case, the result comes first, followed by the conditional part of the sentence. So the previous example would look like this: it might snow if it is cold. Here you can see the result, it might snow, is followed by the conditional, if it is cold. Let's look at another example. If he comes, I will talk to him. Here the possible condition is if he comes. The probable result would be I will talk to him. Now the other pattern would be like this: I will talk with him if he comes. So here the probable result comes first, and then the possible condition. Notice that in the second type of conditional sentence, you do not need a comma. Now there are 4 different types of conditional sentences. The first conditional is used for things that are possible. The second conditional is for unreal possibility, something that probably won't happen, but it could. The third conditional is when there was no possibility of something happening. And finally, the zero conditional is when something is for certain. There is a certainty that this would happen. Now let's look at each one of these a little more closely. For things possible in the future, we want to use the first conditional. There is a real possibility that this will happen. Here's the pattern that we use for this type of sentence. If I win the prize, I will buy a new phone. Now here's an example of how you might use this type of conditional sentence. There are clouds in the sky and you plan to go for a walk soon. You might say something like this: if it rains, I will stay home. The pattern used for the first conditional type sentence is this phrase: if something, I will something. Now, we do not have to use the word I in this type of sentence. It could be anything, such as the company will or the problem will. Let's look again at this pattern. The way to formulate this type of sentence is in this way: if, followed by the present simple, followed by will, plus the base verb. So in our example, we would start with if and follow with the present simple. The simple sentence, I win the prize. And then we'll follow with the will plus the base verb, I will buy a new phone. Our second example would look like this: if it rains, I will stay at home. We can also write it in the second pattern: I will something if something. In this case, we will begin the sentence with the phrase which includes will plus the base verb, followed by if, and then the present simple sentence. So our examples would look like this. I will buy a new phone if I win the prize. I will stay at home if it rains. Let's now look at the second conditional for unreal possibilities in the future. We use this type of sentence for when there is not a real possibility that this will happen. Here's an example. If I won the prize, I would buy a new phone. Now here we're saying that it's very unlikely that we would win the prize, but if I did, this is what I would do. Now here's another example. If I got accepted to Harvard, my parents would be so proud. Again, there's not much possibility that this would happen, but if it did, this would be what would happen. So this pattern is written like this. If I something, I would something. Now let's look at our example again more closely. The way to write this sentence is to use the word if, followed by the past simple, and then would plus the base verb. So our examples would look like this. If I got accepted to Harvard, my parents would be so proud. Now, as with the first conditional, we can also write the second conditional in this pattern. I would something if I something. Now, in this case, our example sentence would look like this. I would buy a new phone if I won the prize. Now, here we begin the sentence with would plus the base verb, followed by if, and then the past simple. So our examples would look like this. Now let's look at how we would write a sentence for what could have happened in the past, but didn't, like a dream that couldn't come true. The third conditional type of sentence is when there's no possibility of something happening. The pattern here is, if I had won the prize, I would have bought a new phone. Now this is something like a dream, something that has not really happened. If I had been there, I would have seen her. You were not there, so it was not possible to see her. But if you had been there, you would have seen her. Now in this third conditional type of sentence, the pattern is, if I had something, I would have something. Now let's look at it a little more closely and see how we're going to write this type of sentence. We begin with the word if, followed by the past perfect, and then the words would have plus the past participle. So this is what our examples would look like. Again, just like the first and second conditional type sentences, we can write our sentences in this way. We would begin our sentence with the phrase would have plus the past, followed by the word if, and then the past perfect participle. And here's what our examples would look like in this pattern. And finally, for our zero conditional type sentence, when something is possible for certain, this absolutely will happen. If you put wood into a fire, it burns. This is something that will happen for certain. Now here's another example. If the price is right, it sells. And here's one more. If I eat peanuts, I get a rash. Now this is something that happens for certain for some people. In this case, our pattern looks like this. If something, it or I something. As is the case with the other conditionals, the zero conditional can also be written in this pattern. Wood burns if you put it into a fire. Or it sells if the price is right. Or I get a rash if I eat peanuts. Here the pattern looks like this. It or I something if something. These are the 4 types of conditional sentences that can be written in English. The first conditional for things that are possible. If I win the prize, I will buy a new phone. The second conditional for sentences where the possibility is unreal or unlikely. If I won the prize, I would buy a new phone. The third conditional for things that are not possible. If I had won the prize, I would have bought a new phone. And the 0 conditional for sentences about things that are certain. If you put wood into a fire, it burns. These are all good sentence patterns to use in your writing. Learn how to use them correctly and use them well. Happy writing! And be sure to check out my workbooks that are designed to be used along with these videos.